Are we entering a new global system? Across the world, the balance of power is shifting. New economic centers are emerging. Technology is transforming geopolitics. And competition between major powers is intensifying. For decades after the Cold War, many analysts believed the global system would remain relatively stable. But today, that assumption is increasingly being questioned. So a fundamental question emerges. What might the future global system actually look like? To answer that question, we first need to understand something more basic. What actually defines a global system in international politics? A global system is shaped by the distribution of power between major actors. At different moments in history, this structure has taken different forms. For much of the 20th century, global politics was dominated by a bipolar system. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, structured international relations through alliances, military competition, and ideological rivalry. After the Cold War ended, the world briefly appeared to enter a unipolar moment, with the United States as the dominant global power. But global power never remains fixed, which raises the next question. Is the world still organized around a single dominant power? Increasingly, the answer appears to be no. Over the past 2 decades, new power centers have emerged across the global system. China has become a major economic and technological competitor. The European Union continues to shape global markets and regulatory standards. India's economic and demographic weight is rising. And regional powers across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa are gaining influence. Instead of a single dominant power, the system is gradually becoming more distributed. This trend is often described as multipolarity, but that raises another important question. If power is spreading across multiple actors, how does competition actually take place? In today's global system, rivalry extends far beyond traditional military power. Technology has become a central arena of competition. Semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and digital infrastructure are increasingly tied to national power. Economic networks also play a strategic role. Supply chains, financial systems, and energy flows can all become instruments of geopolitical influence. In other words, power increasingly operates through technology and economic systems as much as through military capabilities. But this dynamic creates a new challenge. Why does competition often intensify even when states seek stability? One explanation lies in a classic dynamic of international politics known as the security dilemma. When one state strengthens its security through alliances, military capabilities, or technological leadership, it may view those actions as defensive. But other states may interpret them as threatening. They respond by strengthening their own capabilities. That response then reinforces the original perception of rivalry. The result is a cycle of competition that can gradually reshape the entire system. But there is another factor shaping the future global order. How can intense rivalry coexist with deep global interdependence? Unlike earlier eras, today's global system remains highly interconnected. Trade networks link economies across continents. Global supply chains connect production across regions. Financial systems integrate markets across the world. This creates a paradox. Major powers are competing more intensely, yet they remain deeply economically interconnected. Fully separating these networks would impose enormous economic costs. As a result, many states are pursuing a more selective strategy, reducing vulnerabilities in strategic sectors while maintaining broader economic ties. So what kind of global system may be emerging? Rather than returning to the bipolar structure of the Cold War, the world may be entering a different type of order, a system characterized by... So what kind of global system may be emerging? Rather than returning to the bipolar structure of the Cold War, the world may be entering a different type of order, a system characterized by... The future global system will likely not resemble any single historical model. It may not be purely bipolar, and it may not be fully multipolar in the traditional sense. Instead, the defining feature of the coming era may be the interaction between several major powers inside an interconnected global system. Understanding that structure will be essential for interpreting many of the geopolitical developments shaping the decades ahead. This is INNsplained, understanding the systems shaping global politics.